Hi everyone, and welcome to another pick a card reading. Well, today's subject is like a visage from the past, because I remember that in 2018, 2019, I think this was the subject I kind of covered every single week. So even for me, this is like a bittersweet memory, because that was a really ruthless, and I don't even know the proper word to describe it, but a pretty doomy and gloomy period, not just in my life, but everyone that I knew, I got connected to. So basically, everyone kind of went through the same things. So, with this being said, today's subject is guidance for the dark night of the soul, which means that this will mostly resonate for those people who are experiencing an episode or another chapter of the dark night of the soul. And the reason why I have chosen this specific subject, well, it's the eclipses and everything that happened astrologically, energetically, karmically, quantumly, call it whatever you want, in the past couple, or better said, past 3 months. Like, it really, really affected people quite heavily, quite seriously. Starting with the Taurus lunar eclipse, that was like a huge salt on the wound, and then the other eclipse just topped it up, and then we had Mars in Scorpio. We had so many tensioned celestial conversations. So right now, most people who follow my channel, who I work with, who I support, who I guide, well, they're confused. They are dealing with the very, very heavy, psychologically almost torturous influences of these really heavy and ruthless energy shifts. And this is where, knowing the big picture, the evolutionary intent of whatever is going on, well, that does offer some kind of clarity, but it doesn't really help personally. It's almost like when you tell a child who is bullied at school that the karmic reason why this is happening so that he becomes a bodybuilder when he is 30. So you know what I mean. There is wisdom in it, but does it help as much as perhaps a more personalized guidance? Because that is what everyone ultimately needs. So this is the reason why I have chosen this subject. And as I said earlier, this will only work and resonate for those individuals who are heavily experiencing this right now. And like always, the timestamps for the interpretations for the 4 different piles can be found in the description and also in the comments. And with this being said, let's get on to the reading. Hello everyone who has chosen the first pile. Your cards are the 8 of coins reversed, the 3 of swords, death, and the 10 of coins reversed. Now this is not a very pleasant energy, and this combination of cards does suggest that out of all of the groups, you guys are in the deepest and most physical, perhaps, part of the dark night of the soul. And maybe what you're going through right now was not really expected, because what I'm picking up from here is that you guys are very familiar with what the dark night of the soul is, why it is happening. You had so very many purges in the past 4 years. Maybe something greater, something very, very important started in your lives in 2018. And since then it changed, reconfigured so very much. Maybe you relocated not just once, maybe more than once during that period. You had ups and downs, you had moments of maximum despair. At the same time, you also had moments of maximum joy and even bliss. You had moments when life was simply magical and everything was falling into place. Everything was working like a charm, when you were actually feeling that you're basically in control of your reality. And then there was the opposite, when nothing was working, everything was doom and gloomy, everyone betrayed you, and of course you got lost. And all of that was somewhat linear, because, it was up and down. It was like a big sinus, if that makes sense, so an oscillation. But at least there was a trail of breadcrumbs. It did make sense one way or another. And more importantly, the 8 of coins. You have invested a lot of work into yourself, into your learning, into a new life, new reality that you wanted to create, into a lot of healing. But maybe there was also a concrete work element to that as well, where you truly either was working on a project, or you were collaborating with people, or with a community, or maybe like a spirit tribe. So you actually had physical part of this work completed, where you invested a lot of energy, effort, intellectual strength into it, planning, advising, making schemes, making plans, helping other people unconditionally. Or maybe it was like something, a skill or a talent or something that you were always very good at, that you started to develop further. Maybe it's like spiritual work, or for other people, it is more like agricultural knowledge and skills, where you might have been interested in plants, gardening, how to grow food, how to forage. So this work part here is different for everyone with their specific. Some people were much more interested in something artistic, others psychology, parapsychology, quantum physics, stuff like that. Other people something even more practical, like a kind of career that they wanted to create for themselves, or stabilize, or readapt. And this is really important, because there was a period when you actually thought that this is working, this makes a lot of sense, you're on the right path, you are going to get somewhere with this eventually, it's just a matter of time. And the signs were there, it did work, it did support you, you had moments of breakthrough, triumph, synchronicities in a favorable sense. But something might have happened either 3 weeks ago, or in November, around the time of the Taurus eclipse, when your life basically fell apart again. It basically exploded. So chances are, whatever you were working on, it stopped, or it's no longer there, no longer viable, put back on the shelf. You might have had a serious moment of heartbreak when someone either backstabbed you, someone who you really trusted, a friend might have betrayed you, or a romantic relationship that you had didn't really work out and it suddenly stopped. And this is where you can't blame anyone, because both of you are somehow co-authors to this. So in any way, shape or form, there is also a strong emotional problem, a heartache there. And then there is that something happened which kind of shattered your reality apart. Maybe you lost your home, you moved out, and where you moved into didn't work out, so you're very unstable. You might have lost your job, your livelihood. Maybe there's a physical problem, health problem, which is right now debilitating you, so to speak. So basically, this is like a physical expression of the dark night of the soul, where in an instant, in a flash, you shed off all your material security, but in a way that you didn't really see it coming, because it would make no real sense. This is what you have doing slowly and surely, progressively even, starting from 2018 or the past 4 years. So this was not really expected in this manner, because what's the point? What is the reason? What are you shedding off? Because there shouldn't be that much there. And this is the divine guidance here to give you some clarity. Well, what you've been through is absolutely the way you perceive it. There were so many lessons, there was so much wisdom, there was so much work that was done totally successfully in the past, so you were actually doing good. But the thing is, all of us are interconnected. So the place where we live, the community, the country, the nation, the collective where we belong to, well, sometimes that influences in a much greater degree than we are comfortable with that, or better said, sometimes we really don't have power over what happens around us in, the collective. And chances are that something heavily karmic, something very, very disruptive might have happened in the place where you live. So the country, basically, the land. Maybe you come from a country which has very, very strong historic backgrounds, as in it might have been a major power player in several big historic moments in the world. So it has a very strong and very, very potent karmic charge. And what I'm actually picking up here is the 10 of coins, which kind of means that the place where you live, as in country-wise, socially, economically, and also, maybe morally, maybe the spirituality of the place, of the country, of the people, is going down the rabbit hole. So there is going to be a lot of intolerance and strong social judgment, basically, that will rule things over there for the next couple of years, so the next 2 years. So this is why, like it or not, your life has to be reconfigured to such a way where you are able not just to survive, but to thrive there. And this is what we simply cannot understand, cannot process, cannot fathom as a human being, because we will need to see the big picture and the history of the country, as in the future. The future of the country's history, what happens, why, and ultimately what your role is there. Because even if you would leave the country, even if you would leave the community, you're still one of them, so you're still karmically tied to them. So the universe is simply telling you that your life is being massively reconfigured, unexpectedly, of course. This is where maybe the universe, the divine intelligence, the great architect didn't expect this either. Because, ultimately a fate of a collective, a fate of a country, a fate of a nation, a fate of a moral entity, if that makes sense, well, it's the same as the fate of a person. You choose it. People, the collective, communities choose it. So perhaps the fate that this nation, this country, your place, your community chose for itself, well, it's no longer compatible with the person who you are. So, of course, you should not change. Why should you change? But the physical configuration of your life and the setup and all the details, for example, how you make your income, how you earn, who you're connected to, how you will travel, what kind of social connections will you have in the not so distant future. Well, these need to change, these need to be readapted, these need to be refined exactly to give you the decency that you deserve. So right now you may be feeling totally lost, so very, very scared. This is where your life is simply shattered. You don't even understand why, how did it get to this? You know that you really didn't mess things up. You also know that you didn't have the usual traumas and the filth, the psychological blockages and the heaviness of the past within you. Of course, all of us carry that, but you've done so much inner work non-stop, continuously, ever since 2018, so that kind of changed a lot of things. It made everything lighter. You released a lot of things, so that's why you don't understand what exactly is this moment trying to reflect. So what you should know is that this is a very powerful life change for you. It may seem doom gloom, it may seem total depression, it seems totally lost, dark for you right now, but this is actually gonna lead you exactly where you need to be. Just that it's a big adventure right now. And this adventurous side is not gonna change very quickly because, as I said, you are okay, you've done the work, you've done everything that you could have done personally, but this is where it's the external reality that's the problem. That is experiencing so much turmoil, instability, and conflicting energies. So, groups of people, leaders versus people, different communities. Maybe your country has more, how should I say, ethnic groups in one territory. So you can imagine that every group is also fighting for their rights and ethnic rights, if that makes sense. For example, like Scotland or stuff like that. So this, from a spiritual, energetic, and quantum perspective, well, it tears the country's reality apart. So of course your life shattered very quickly. And even though how you're getting to where you need to be is not known, and it's gonna be like an adventure. Maybe a leap of faith will be required, maybe total randomness, total chaos. But what is absolutely certain, that this will change your life very quickly. This is not gonna last. This is only gonna last for maybe a few more weeks, but then a lot of things are gonna happen. Material things, as in that which has to do with physical reality, maybe communication offers, the breakthroughs. Of course, these are not going to be that very helpful because they will intimidate you. This will require you to totally get out of your comfort zone, as scared, as still in the dark night of the soul as you are, and just face the music, just make the choices out of sheer instinct, trust the untrustable, take certain leaps, but regardless of what you choose, regardless of what you do, this is where the universe is sweeping you to where you need to be. The problem is because, again I say, because of the energies of the collective, the country, the place, the land where you live, it has to be a sweeping, as in not gentle, not being able to provide you with the guidance. You can't even rely on your intuition, your clear judgment. All you can rely upon is your instinct, because that is where the universe can choose for you, if that makes sense. So the only connection you have with the divine right now is instinctual. So when you have no choice really, when there's a wrong and right choice for real, the universe, through your instincts, will just make the right choice be very evident to you. So you won't even have a choice basically, because through instinct you will know that that is the option for you. And anything else, there isn't really wrong or right choice. So what you choose is just a matter of preference. It doesn't even matter, because this is where the destination, the final destination, is set by the universe alone. It's not even a co-creation, because it has to help you right now. Because of the external reality of the place that you live is shattering, this is where the universe has to do this for you on its own. So basically you're in for a ride, one that you cannot control, one that is very scary, one that is like the Twilight Zone, but you're actually more safe than you could possibly imagine. If anything, you are the safest out of all of the four groups, even though your situation is the most horrifying, if that makes sense. But actually this is where the divine is doing it for you, because otherwise you'd properly be in danger. And this has nothing to do with you personally. This has just a lot to do with the land that you live in. And this massive upheaval, it is also like doing some things for you in your place. For example, totally erasing family karma, totally cord cutting you away from everyone who can no longer basically where the connection is no longer even vice to have in your life. And when you get where you need to get, not, as I said, it is not gonna take years. This is gonna be very fast. You will learn a lot of new things, you will meet a lot of new people, and you will start to take life in your own hands. But don't expect the kind of stability that you were working for, better said. Basically, expect a lot of power where you can just go with the flow and be prosperous, even successful, and of course safe. But it's not the kind of stability where you know that you have $1 million whatever in your bank account and no matter what happens you're okay. It is more like life is gonna be like an adventure, but because you will have a lot of strength and a lot of valuable connections, you will be more than fine. But where exactly this road is guiding you to, no one can say, because even the universe doesn't know yet. It basically depends how things in your country or in the land where you live, your community, are gonna evolve. And based on that, you'll get to the safest and most prosperous place possible. So you might relocate within the country, you might even be called to leave the country. But all of this doesn't matter because the universe is taking care of everything. And again, I must say that it seems to you that it's so bad, it's total catastrophe, it's total shock, heartbreak, totally lost, rock bottom, total confusion. You feel like you even have less life experience than when you were 5. But all of this is, just like the shock of the moment. You will definitely snap out of this. Of course, right now it should be scary. No one expects you to feel any different than you do. But when you'll be catapulted or ping-ponged by the karmic forces exactly where you're safe, you will just know and things will work out quickly. So try not to allow this to turn into like a heavy kind of depression or to totally shatter your fate. Because wait for it, this will not last for long and surprises are coming. There is also a lot of good things when life is an adventure, even if that adventure is about survival and just being able to stay sane and safe in a sense. But don't worry, things will change very, very, very quickly and dramatically. So this is what the universe would like you guys to know. Thank you again for listening. And all I can say, hang in there guys, because changes, like proper significant changes, are coming. As quickly as the universe shattered your life, so quickly can it lead you to something else, something better, something that will be of use to you in the now. Hello everyone who has chosen the second pile. Your cards are the Hangman, the Four of Cups, the Six of Coins, and the Lovers reversed. Now for you guys, I do sense that this isn't like a typical episode of The Dark Night of the Soul. Or better said, it is like a subchapter of it, which has a very specific theme that is playing on right now. But before I get to that, this Hangman already tells me that you guys also been through a lot of episodes of The Dark Night of the Soul, so it's not even that special, that spectacular to you. You guys might have a lot of experience how to nurture yourself, how to cope, how to look at the light at the end of the tunnel, how to be patient, how to go with the flow. So basically this means that you guys have a lot of inner mastery, how to escape even from the most torturous kind of inner states. And I'm so sorry to say this, but maybe some of you guys also had in the distant past when, or better said, before a moment of greater awakening, some suicidal tendencies. Not that you were ill or something like that, but when you were really, really in trouble and depressed, it kind of crossed your mind a lot of times. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing because, as I said, that is how you developed really, really strong coping skills for when life is really unkind, when life is blocked, when the world actually shows its doomy side and not the beauty, the roses, the summer breeze, the starry sky and stuff like that. And also you're very spiritual, very empathic, very emotionally intelligent in nature. Of course, which is a double-edged sword, because on one hand, that is exactly the source of the trouble, of the pain, the sensitivity. People disappointing because you can immediately see through them. You know what they're feeling. You know how selfish they can be and self-serving at times. And most probably some of you guys also have proper knowledge of psychology. Some of you might have even studied it. So you kind of get the theory. You know how, why. You're actually quite experts at this, and quite frankly, maybe you're people who advise other people who are in dark night of the souls. So where I'm going with this is that a dark night of the soul cannot be like that very heavy for you guys, because you've been through it and you are masters of navigating out of it, masters of coping, masters of self-care and self-nurture. So there is only so much that the dark night of the soul can do for you guys in your current state, as in who you are right now, the level of mastery that you have achieved. But this is where perhaps this Taurus lunar eclipse or the celestial conversations of the past 2 months kind of started sprinkling salt on your wound, on a childhood wound which has been accompanying you all throughout your life. And this is the kind of wound which cannot be healed, cannot be changed. And it is also something specific to you, your story, your persona, your soul, even maybe your spirit. And that is loneliness. Maybe you've been going through a very, very lonely period, and this loneliness was amplified by the fact that you did have a lot of connections in your life, and maybe you had to support other people a lot. Maybe you had to be their healer, be their counselor, their advisor, their emotional rock. And it kind of drained your power, it drained your optimism, the strength of hope that you kind of emanate onto everyone and anything in your life. But this made you feel that much more lonely, and it kind of amplified and kept on adding to the state until you kind of broke down a little bit inside of you. And maybe that Taurus lunar eclipse revealed to you that, well, you kind of feel lonely in your life, and you are enough for yourself. You can provide everything for yourself. You love yourself. You embrace your story and everything about yourself. But that is basically coping. You can do that. You are empowered to do that. You have the skills, strength, resilience, understanding, wisdom to do that. But do you necessarily want that? Is that really your future? And this is the problem, because you kind of had enough of that. The fact that you are able to live like this, cope, and even be happy, that's one thing, that's absolutely fine. But you don't really want this anymore. And this is what is adding to the dark night of the soul. So maybe already you're in the hangman position, in your bubble, within yourself, with your thoughts and your feelings, your spirituality. You're trying to contemplate, to really process if you are meant to be alone, to walk the path perhaps of a hermit in this life, or if you're actually meant to be a loving and devoted partner to someone. Because you might have Cancer energy, Pisces energy, or a very powerful 4th house or 6th house, because you're a person who can really, really nurture others in any way, shape, or form. Maybe this is even your career. Maybe you're a counselor, a nurse, a healthcare worker, or something that where you either inspire or nurture or help other people. So this is also very instinctual for you. And since you are doing this already and this has been a major theme in your life, now if you would do this to a partner, someone who really, really loves you and you love them, you know, the definition of a partner, well, you would enact your life path and your instincts in a totally different manner. So imagine how happy, how satisfied, how fulfilled, how truly alive all of that would make you feel. And perhaps it is this which scares you. Maybe inside of you you have a certain kind of spiritual, or better said, philosophical conflict, because if you would do this to a person, as in your partner, you would give all your energy and your nurturing instincts to this person. Naturally, you would make this person extremely happy. But that means sacrificing your career, your life path, your basically job, your mission to nurture other people as a life path. Maybe not totally, but partially, 100%. It would not be healthy to keep both at full blast at the same time, because that would consume you in a week. So you have to work this guilt out, because that is the reason no one is showing up in your life. You might have given this decision to the universe. Help me, what is better for me? But perhaps this is the only decision the universe is very, very reluctant to make in your place. It can, of course. You're its creation. It knows you better than you know yourself. But it's still insisting what to ask you and keep on asking you all the time. What does your heart tell you? What is your emotional truth? But because of that guilt, you can't swing as a pendulum. You cannot choose one or the other. So you're basically totally blocked emotionally, and you don't even know this. So the universe is kind of advising you for you to acknowledge that regardless if you support, how should I say, like 20, 30 people a month, or one person continuously, that is basically still your life path playing out. For the universe, for the divine, it makes no difference. Because you're still in your role, you still affect a lot of people, even if you would just support your partner and be that inspirational muse, the oracle, the nurturer, the healer for that person. If your partner is working with a lot of other people, even if in a different context or different circumstance, you kind of empowering a partner is like making that person be a channel to what you'd represent as well. So basically for the divine, it really, really makes no difference in which way you enact your life path, because the divine itself is so very happy with you. And chances are you might get so much feedback, and it's positive. It's of course it makes you feel beautiful from the inside, but it doesn't really matter. You're blind to it. So basically you're playing this game with the divine, where 3 months you're so focused on your, let's say, life path, what you do. Then another 3 months you're dreaming about, wouldn't be life absolutely amazing, miraculous if I'd had someone special? And as I said, these two are basically the same thing, but you cannot have both at the same time, because that is the path to burnout, destruction. You would lose both your life path and your partner. So like it or not, want it or not, your heart has to choose one reality, and you have to stay focused on that. You will have to tell and show the universe look, I have made my choice, this is what I want to experience, this is how I want to enact my life path, and ultimately this is what would make me the happiest. So I made my choice. Please respond. Please make things come together for me. And as soon as you make this choice, well, ultimately the universe will give way to what you have chosen, and very quickly even. But until you actually choose by heart, so this isn't just mental, actually, this isn't mental at all, because your mind is super strong to anticipate stuff and to show you the potential, the possibility. Yet the question is, what would make you the happiest? What do you desire in your heart of hearts? That freedom and ultimately the blessing, including the spiritual blessing, the spiritual insight that a solitary spiritual life would offer you. But of course, a partnership could also be your key to happiness. But it would also change your life. So, there would, even if that is why the Lovers is reversed. Even if you would meet the most unconditional person, totally non-judgmental, the epitome of tolerance in any way, shape, or form, when you link two lives, two destinies together, well, there is always the need of compromise and, commitment and everything of this nature. So, of course, life, terms and conditions, perhaps where you live, even your worldview, your philosophy about life will change, will be upgraded, so to speak, because you will naturally take on a couple of things that the other person believes in or finds valuable, aspirational, etc. And at the same time, karmically, you will bind your destinies together. That is also a change. And perhaps the biggest change is you don't know how you are when you're very, very happy. You never experienced happiness of that, how should I say, intensity in your life. So you don't even know what a very happy, joyous and content and very safe and sound version of you lives like, reacts like, thinks like, does everything like, if you know what I mean. So maybe you are actually a tiny bit afraid of being that very happy, that very free of sorrow, pain, sadness, etc. And of course, love blinds you a little bit, dumbs you down a little bit. But ultimately, that is also the most beautiful part of it. So this is what the universe is telling you. This dark night of the soul, your loneliness, better said, well, it's not really any dark night in the sense that you're just in your cocoon, which you have woven around yourself right now, to contemplate, to think about things, to find out what your soul, your heart of hearts really wants and asks. Because the Six of Coins, the universe is ready, very, very much so, to offer you something. But before it can, you have to choose which one. Does it turn the gravity of your life towards your life path? Or does it turn it towards a relationship that you've always dreamed of, with a person you've always dreamed of? Only if you will not give it an answer will it be forced to basically make a choice on your behalf, because I do believe that you have only 3 or 4 months left before this decision, either way, even if you make it or the divine has to make it, will be locked, basically locked in, almost like a computer command. But if you manage to do it before, then the universe will immediately have something concrete, practical, a clear information choice on your behalf that you made to work with. So this is what the cards are showing me for you guys. that basically the divine, the universe is waiting for you to find out what exactly would make you the happiest. And also keep in mind that we're in Venus retrograde season, where Venus is conjunct Pluto. That is all about this, what you're actually contemplating on. So in the next 2-3 months, we will be under the influence of this energy, and this will be the main theme. So I do believe that by April 2022, your lives, one way or another, are going to be quite different. So basically, this profound loneliness that you feel is actually quite useful right now, because it kind of helps you to crystallize your true desires. So thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bye for now. Hello everyone who have chosen the third pile. Your cards are the Ace of Swords, the Empress reversed, the King of Coins, and the Eight of Cups. Now for you guys, the situation is not as bad as you think. Better said, I'm not even sure if you guys are actually in the dark night of the soul. Maybe not even the slightest. Maybe you're just in a period where things are going very, very slowly. You need something very, very specific to happen in your life. For example, like a job offer or a contract or a material breakthrough, or something to do with the evolution of your work, or an investment, or something material of nature in any way, shape, or form. Maybe a relocation, for example. But whatever that is, it is in a way divinely timed, because what you could have done for it, to enable it, to create it, to co-create it, to manifest it, to make it happen in any way, shape, or form, your part of the work is completed. So right now you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. But the thing is, the Empress reversed. You're frustrated. You're very, very, in a sense, also angry, because on one hand, you've done a lot for this. You've sacrificed a lot. And what that Eight of Cups is suggesting is that before you got into this situation, you have, especially around 2018 or something around that, you walked away from something. You took a huge leap of faith in the name of morality, freedom, spirituality, whatever justice, especially emotional justice, meant for you. For some of you guys, maybe you left an old life, an old relationship, a marriage, an old career, an old lifestyle, an old identity even. For some of you guys, it might have been a massive identity upgrade, if that makes sense. Release of old conditioning, old education, old knowledge, old everything. So, you know, that Eight of Cups is very hard to do, because you leave a lifestyle totally, along with people, partners, home, or whatever is linked to that behind. So that is very, very hard. You might have been in the dark night of the soul ever since, just that because it takes such a long time, you don't perceive it as such. You're already more than okay. And this Ace of Swords is very, very important, because it means a powerful intellectual upgrade. So you guys are so very strong right now. The Ace of Swords, it means holding the truth, inner truth, outer truth, intellectually, at least mentally, and perceiving reality from a very down-to-earth perspective. In that sense, you are very powerful, very found, very, very rational. You see things in all possible expressions as they truly are. So mentally, intellectually, you're actually in the best possible place, in the most empowered state that you have ever been in your life. And that also means work. That means almost every single area of your life where you're actually in the truth. You're actually doing it. It means a kind of success and a massive triumph and a massive life change that you've already completed, but it doesn't feel that way, and it still feels that you're stuck in the dark night of the soul because the material element didn't come through yet. Now, I am not really sure what that King of Pentacles means. It means, of course, different things for different people. For some of you guys, it has to be the new partner, especially if you left the relationship, because you need, how should I say, physical or emotional stability for you to step into your true genius, your true expression of that Ace of Swords, your Uranian spirit. Maybe the person who you are, your own psychological configuration, is of that nature that you just need to be comfortable in order for you to be able to shine. And no matter what you do, you cannot shine in any other shape or form, because maybe you have strong fourth house energy. Maybe you kind of need the comfort to be there. Material or emotional or whatever comfort means to you, you just need it. You're a person who needs that. For other people, it simply means money. The bank account, where you need to do certain project or investments or buy equipment, for example, buy this and that, and you need the money for that, and that's it. It's as simple. When you have the money in your hands, all done. For others, this King of Pentacles might be a business partner or someone like a sponsor, like someone more experienced who can take you on, integrate you in their work, and that will offer you everything that you need. Maybe you're not very good at business, monetizing, you're not good at determining value, so that's why you need a person for that, an expert, a professional, or someone who is looking for your talent, but that someone has this financial management talent. So that person might be looking for someone of your archetype and vice versa, and that has to take place. While simply for some of you guys, it is a money that you kind of already have, but you don't have physically yet, but it's promised to you, or you're entitled to it, or you're waiting on something, someone to come together, and that means that a moment will come when 100% certainty the money is gonna be yours. But this Empress reverse, you're frustrated. You just can't take this passivity, this inertia, this wishy-washiness, the Eight of Cups anymore. Like you wanna walk away, you wanna advance. You've learned what you needed to learn, so you have everything already in your hands to just live that reality which you fought for, worked for, sacrificed for. And as I said, the dark night of the soul is already lived and experienced, so it has to end. And even though it ended in so very many shapes and forms, the mental torture ended, the emotional torture ended, figuring yourself out ended, purging the old traumas ended, finding your new knowledge was completed already. So all you need is the material part to fall into place so that you can fulfill the energy of that Eight of Cups. So the abandonment and entering something new. Because what comes after the Eight of Cups? The Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment, wish granted, success in a completion sense. So what you're experiencing right now is just remembering, if that even makes sense, how the dark night of the soul usually feels. And this is because your inner Venus, that Empress, the satisfaction, everything that you love, everything that you want to feel, want to live, want to experience, want to attract in your life, that inner Venus is very uncomfortable, frustrated. She had enough. Life is only so much about non-concrete, non-physical elements, even including spirituality. Sometimes it does have to turn into something palpable, practical, concrete, livable, experienceable with the five senses, if you know what I mean. So that inner Empress already had enough of spiritual, mental, ethereal, anything of that nature. She wants something real and she's waiting for it. But intuitively, and that Ace of Swords, you're almost, I don't want to say something exaggerated, but you might be already at the stage of telepathy, the beginning of telepathic ability. So you kind of get downloads and hints of what's about to come in a very literal way, as in you can decipher it with the precision of a master, if you know what I mean. So you kind of know the big picture, you know what you need in your life. You also know that it's coming, because the king is reversed, it's on the horse, it's coming, it's advancing. But you just need to have it already, and you don't know when. You do feel it coming, and you're expecting it. It's not happening today, tomorrow, after tomorrow. So it's the waiting game that is already driving you mad and really, really strong frustration. So the divine guidance is just see your situation for what you already clearly know it is, the Ace of Swords. You know it's coming. You know that your story will not make any sense any other way. So that king will definitely enter. It will be yours. You will live it. But you cannot do anything but just to wait it out. As hard, as angering, as frustrating, as outrageous it feels, and it actually is, because no one's telling you that you're incorrect, you're not right. Of course it's late. Of course you need it now. Of course it's unfair for you not to have it, especially now. But there's nothing you can do, because there isn't a specific time. It is a matter of alignment. It is a matter when chaos manifests. So that can be basically when you least expect it. But if you want a point of reference, if you want like a date, if that makes sense, well, you can imagine that if it doesn't happen that soon, your life will just fall apart again. So it has to happen before the worst case scenario happens. So that is at least some kind of a comfort, that it won't take years. But exactly when doesn't depend on you, doesn't depend on the universe. It just depends on basically chaos, but it is coming. And also the Ace of Swords. You know that you're ready. Mentally, your mind, your control over your discipline, over your being. All that you have learned and done and experienced, you know that you're basically ready. So just a little bit more patience, wait it out, and don't let this be a massive return of the Dark Night of the Soul, even though it technically is not finished yet. It's gonna be finished when you get the material part of your karmic completion. Then all of this will just be a memory and nothing more. The Dark Night of the Soul is over, done with. It will just be a chemical imprint in your brain, a memory, and no longer an experience that you're living in the now. And chances are it's never coming back in your life ever again, because that is why you lived it for so many years now. Because the universe just had to purge it out from you totally, because you're not even a kind of person who should be living that, because you're the Ace of Swords. Your intellect is so very powerful. It is 10 million times stronger than your emotions. So that will be the guiding force in your life from now till your last breath. So that is why you took care of the emotional side of the Dark Night of the Soul once and for all in one go. So this is what the cards have to say to you. Thank you so much for listening. And I do hope that your King of Coins enters your life very soon. Hello everyone who have chosen the fourth pile. Your cards are the Magician. In this deck it's called the Alchemist. The Eight of Cups reversed, the Six of Swords, and the Ten of Cups. Well, for you guys, these cards do speak about a Dark Night of the Soul, but perhaps it's not really what you think it is. It does appear and feel like and seem like a chapter, an episode of The Dark Night of the Soul, but it's a little bit, how should I say, much more spiritual, so purely spiritual, and not really as much the usual as in psychological, the traumas, the past, what we suffered, things like this. So what I'm actually saying is that it's your soul kind of reacting to, intuitively of course, to a very powerful karmic completion that is about to come into your life. And it's almost like, without a shadow of a doubt, you're a very spiritual person. You have a lot of knowledge. You have been through a lot of things. You have experienced a lot of things. You do understand and comprehend a lot of things. You know, the magician, it speaks for itself. You have the mind, the mindset, the intellectual faculties, or basically the potential of a magician, or you are a magician, or an alchemist, or a spiritualist, anyway, someone who is in control of his wisdom, knowledge, strength, reality, etc. And maybe this episode of The Dark Night of the Soul apparently just entered your life without warning, and yes, you do feel emotional heaviness and like a worry, like a sense of anxiety, like forewarning that complications are coming in your life, an uneasiness, a restlessness basically. You feel a very powerful change approaching in your life, but perhaps you cannot determine how this change is gonna feel like. It is almost like you do see the future, but you're blind to the colors of it. And because you don't see the colors, you don't know how it will affect you. It can be positive, it can be devastating, it can be tragic, so you really don't know what this change, what this rearrangement of fate, if that makes sense, is gonna play out in your life. But you do know that it's coming, and you do know that chances are it's gonna be pretty significant and big, because you don't see your extended future anymore. It's blind. It's almost like a brick wall. You cannot see what lies beyond that. It scares you. It kind of frightens you. You cannot imagine what could possibly happen to you. So maybe you're actually considering that, is this maybe the end to my journey? Is this a full stop or something like that? Because why can't I anticipate? Why can't I feel the way I always used to what's coming or where this potentially is gonna lead me to? You can't even foresee what could possibly happen, because this Eight of Cups is reversed. That means that you're very into reality. You have a very down-to-earth vision approach. You're kind of not really into fantasy, into wishful thinking, not even positivity, not even hopes and stuff like that. You're very, very down to earth right now. You're very, very in the now. You're very, very rational, and you kind of look at things from a very down to earth perspective. So basically, you're not living in the dreamy kind of spirituality, not even escapism of any kind, not even daydreaming. You're really, really in the now, trying to have control over your life, reality, and the Six of Swords. You know that right now you have to steer your life in such a way where you're always adapted to what's happening in the world. You know that you mustn't let any of the external chaos, uncertainty, instability in any way, shape, or form, like get in the way of your progress, of your life path, and everything that you want to do, both for yourself personally and also in life generally, if you know what I mean. And also, this is where the discomfort that you feel, the symptoms, so to speak, of the dark night of the soul, I do believe that that is due to not being able to have your usual connection to the divine. Usual means that which you're accustomed to, the way you usually communicate, the way you receive feedback, receive intuitive hints and, nudges, and when the universe steers you, the feedback it gives you. You're missing this connection with the spirit, the way it is usual, the way it is typical for you. And that is very natural because there is a powerful shift taking place in your life, but also where you live, also in the world. So you're very, very caught up in this. And also the divine or the spiritual forces that you're very accustomed, that you serve, let's say, that you represent, embody, right now are very, very quiet and, persisting in the background. All they show you is that they're there, but what they're doing, what the theme is, what the topic is, even in the now, it's almost like they're not telling you anything, not letting you know anything. Because something that you have been working on, more spiritually, magically, or inner work, or what you wanted to manifest, maybe a year ago, maybe something that you have been actually focusing on last December 2020, is now completing itself. This Ten of Cups is something from the past, like a karmic reward or a karmic completion of wish fulfillment, or something that you need to experience, something which is more predominant of emotional in nature, that you need to experience has to happen. And whatever this is emotionally and regarding the non-intellectual elements of your path, for example, your faith, your philosophies, how you process reality, your feelings, your emotional world, your connection to other people, your vision, or better said, outlook on love, emotions, sentiments, emotional connections and stuff like that, that will change, or better said, crystallize, better said, upgrade, in the sense that whatever completion, whatever karmic completion this Ten of Cups is, maybe a person from the past, a soulmate, or a brother-sister kind of connection, relationship, returning or completing, or a clarity in that sense, a final blessing, or those of you who are single and need a partner, that partner showing up, but maybe from the past, or maybe someone who you helped through your magic, through your spirituality, has had a massive miracle happening in their lives and they will share it with you. Or maybe this is a childhood trauma where you missed out on a very important life event, and now the life universe, your destiny, is going to give that to you to heal that lack, the void that you received when you were a child. Or maybe someone from your distant family gives you something, honors you, where they have never done it in their lives ever. So whatever this completion is, it is meant to emotionally empower you, build up an even stronger trust between you and the divine architecture, so to speak, giving you this power to trust your faith even more boldly, if that even makes sense, to give you this conviction that you need to truly follow your spirituality, your magic, your mission, that which you know you have to do in this life. And you need a very, very strong trust with the universe, with the divine, where you need to know that it reacts to your every single thought. You need confirmation for this. You need manifestation. You need like to see your faith manifest before your eyes, and only then can you embody this. And this is very, very important for you and your future journey, because this is how you become very, very strong, free, and a force of change in the world in the not so distant future, maybe in 2 years. This will actually guide you to the position of power that you need. So this is why things are very disconnected from you right now. This is why you feel both found and lost at the same time. And this is why the universe is not showing you where you're going. This is why you see that brick wall. This is why you cannot actually feel your future in any way, shape, or you just don't know. And, of course, some of you guys might confuse this or mistake it with, well, the end is here or something like that, but that's not the case. You haven't reached any end or any final chapter. This is where you're just going into, how should I say, uncharted but safe territory. Uncharted for you is a very good expression, because of course it's scary and all unknowable and anything can happen, yes. But uncharted also means you can conquer it. It belongs to no one yet. So that is why your future is invisible for you personally, because you have to conquer it. You can take as much as you want. It belongs to no one. It is not created. It is not set in stone. It is still the expression of the unborn God, if that makes sense to you guys. You have to birth it. So, of course, you need a lot of empowerment, trust, and faith, and to know that every single of your thoughts is connected to the divine for you to do that. But that is the topic of of next year, so 2022, how you accomplish that, how you get into that position, and the year to come, 2024 and 5. So this is what the cards have to say to you. Thank you so much for listening. And whatever that big completion is, I hope it brings you a lot of happiness and joy. Maybe a new home, maybe a new community, maybe a new partner, whatever that is. I hope that it's really, really sweet for you. So this concludes today's pick a card reading. Thank you so much everyone for all the likes, shares, beautiful comments, support and generosity. If you'd like to keep on supporting my work, you can donate in the PayPal link in the description below. So thank you once again for being here, for listening to my work. And may the divine and the pure light and consciousness of the King of Mercy guide all of us in the most loving and miraculous way through these really, really tough couple of months. Thank you again. Until next time, bye for now.